Your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolfe.
I think I've run out of ways to say it's another hot and humid day in the state line today as our temperature once again returning to that 90-degree mark. And with dew points still in the 70s, it feels very warm out there. Temperatures remaining in the low 90s with a lot of that sunshine. 92 in Rockford, 91 Dixon, 91 Rochelle, DeKalb, Woodstock, and Harvard. 90 degrees now in Poplar Grove, also 91 in Janesville, Wisconsin. When you factor in that heat index, though, that's what it feels like, a little bit closer to the triple-digit mark. Some spots feeling closer to the mid and upper 90s and even close to 100. Weather watcher Gene in DeKalb reporting 52% humidity along with that temperature of 91 degrees. Wind doesn't help all that much, only 12 miles per hour. Heat and humidity starting to spur on some of this thunderstorm activity, though, primarily off to our north and to our northwest. And you can see some of those towering cumulus clouds off in the distance with our Mercy Health SkyTrack camera out in Freeport, brought to us by the Rockford Career College. You can also see the sunshine mixing in with some of those, continuing to allow for that fuel to build up for some of those thunderstorms to develop. Locally here, many spots have remained dry so far, but those who have seen some of those rain showers beginning to see some of those quick downpours. Very, very isolated in nature. One storm now in southern Wisconsin and one just now developing to the west of Rockford, beginning to move off to the north and to the northeast. Again, very isolated in nature, so most will stay dry, at least here in the near term, but those who get some of those isolated storms likely could see some torrential rainfall, some cloud-to-ground lightning, as well as possibly some gusty winds. Largely all of those storms in the near term will likely remain below severe limits. But out to our west, that's where our focus then turns to these storms developing along this cold front. That frontal boundary going to allow these storms to move our way as we head beyond 7 and 8 o'clock tonight. And that's going to be the main focus for any of that strong to severe potential. And that's what you can see when you see the outline with our severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. Highest coverage of any of those strongest storms, primarily off to the north and the northwest with that level 2 out of 5 slight risk. Meanwhile, the remainder of the state line underneath a level 1 out of 5 or marginal risk for severe weather. Futurecast doesn't really pick up very well on that isolated storm coverage that we have here locally, but this would be that window where you still could see roughly 10% coverage of those isolated showers and storms ahead of that cold front that would be arriving late into the evening. That would be the main window for the highest coverage of those storms, although likely these storms will be arriving after 8 o'clock tonight and therefore after sunset or after the sun starts going down at least. And that's where we're going to see at least a weakening trend of some of those storms. So we may see a gusty wind or two along with that heavy rainfall. Those would be the main concerns with any of those strongest storms if they were to maintain their strength and remain severe here locally. But you can see that decrease in the coverage and the intensity of those storms as we head beyond midnight tonight and likely seeing some spots even completely dry out beyond 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. 71 degrees is where we'll head for that overnight low tonight. Mostly cloudy sky and those scattered storms likely decreasing in coverage beyond 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Going into tomorrow, we rebound our temperature only to 83 degrees as that cold front clears out a little bit of that humidity going into tomorrow, but we still hold on to an isolated chance for a shower or two early on. We likely stay dry then through the majority of the daytime hours on Saturday, although our temperature starts to build back up with another warm front lifting in. 91 degrees for Sunday. Our highest coverage then after tonight comes in Sunday night going into Monday, but then a big decrease in our heat and humidity. Temperatures closer to average for the middle of the week.